Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Chapter 1 and Beyond. I believe this is episode 8 and 9. I did a whoopsie and forgot to update last week, and I realized that I didn't have anything for this week either. So I'm combining two episodes into one. So hopefully this works out. But that's okay because we're here, we're talking about books, life is good. Um, the first episode that I am going to attach to this, because this is future Christina, is my HRCYED plan further. So I know on the previous episode that was posted, we talked a lot about how I've been using ChatGPT to plan out my HRCYED TBR. And actually, I screwed it up from the very beginning, and I'll go into detail on that in this episode. All right, so how's it going, guys? This is Christina with Chapter 1 and Beyond. This is episode, I believe, 8. Um, I want to talk more about HRCYED, just because of the fact that this challenge has really intrigued me a lot. And I know on the previous episode I was talking a lot about how to use ChatGPT and prompt engineering to plan out how to black out the board. And I think a lot of what I talked about was, like the different kinds of prompts, being able to give it your physical TBR that I currently am busting through, and I gave you guys some tips on how to kind of proceed with that. Well, I discovered that I just screwed up fully on doing it correctly. So, and the only reason why I say that, and I mean, again, Cordy had mentioned on her channel that there is no wrong way to do this, but you have to do it within a 12-month period. So originally, my mindset was to start from January 1st of 2025 and go till December 31st, 2025. And I didn't realize in the interim, when I was really starting to put things together, that I was going to fail from the very get go. Though I've been having a very incredible year with reading, um, it was just going to set me up for failure. So I had already started submitting my submissions to Cordy through her HRCYED forms that she has for this challenge, and I realized, oops, I really need to start all over again. So I have switched over to a different username. I registered differently. Um, I've started a new game board as well, and I think I have a very, very good plan to at least get one row completed. And I haven't submitted anything yet, only because of what I went through with the other username. So, like she said, it's not, a stress thing. Um, Me personally, I couldn't really see myself submitting a form and then turning around and being like, no, I really changed this, and it was just going to get too confusing if I would have continued to use the same screen username, because you have to give a unique name when you submit your submissions for the forms. But um, so yeah, I want to talk about the prompts that I think I could easily get a straight across, and then the ones that um, I've been kind of using ChatGPT with to plan this out. And I think that is a really good thing for me, at least, because I'm all about making sure that I have a list and making sure that it makes sense and that it fits. And this whole challenge thing has really opened up my eyes to how I can really just expand my reading by tenfold. Like I said, 2024, I think I only had about well, I can load that up right now, but I think in 2024 I only had like 42 books read for the entire year. This year I'm pretty much on track to definitely doing a lot more than that. Um, but I'm just waiting for this to load up. I use hardcover to track my books, but so 2024, it looks like the amount of books that I read was 42 books. Um, I had 24 hours worth of listening, but those were purely just me reading and then some mix in with audiobooks. Now this year, I've really embraced like using audiobooks. Like I hardly listen to my playlists and my meditations and like lo-fi chill music while I work. So I think that's like where like a large amount is helping me out a lot this year. But the thing is that this challenge has really kind of made me think about, well, yeah, there's this prompt by the hundreds. You have to read 7 books just to complete that prompt. And like an earlier version of me would have been like, this is insane. There's no way. And I just would have backed out of it. But I'm intrigued because I clearly want to try my best to go from 1 month to the next and try to up my reading. So, and it's a win-win for me because I am using everything that's on my physical TBR that I physically own, with the exception of the new releases prompt. Um, so I do use the tracker, but I also use each individual sheet that I have. And so far in July, it looks like I'm going to be probably rounding out 12 books, maybe. Yeah, it looks like around 10 to 12 books. I mean, we're not that like we're into July, but we're not that into July. Um, and honestly, like there's still plenty of time. A lot of the books that I've been indulging in are like under 300 pages, so that kind of helps the situation. Some of the books that I have picked up, though, on the other hand, they're like one of them is 592 pages. Um, but yeah, the other ones, it looks like the audiobook was under 10 hours. Yeah, this other one was under 10 hours. Like I said, I'll update in a bonus episode of everything that I read in July. But the thing is though is that with this challenge I make it a point to find one book that can fulfill 2 prompts. And this tracker sheet that she made for this challenge has really helped a lot. But it's also great to couple it with ChatGPT because ChatGPT, I can prompt it. Because I've already fed it all of the prompts for this challenge. So all I need to do is put the title in and the author in and ask, hey, which 2 prompts from HRCYED 2.0 can this fulfill? And many of them have been fulfilling my by the hundreds the last 10 years and the disability rep and adaptations. So I'm like on a roll with at least those 3 prompts. It looks like for the by the hundreds, I only have like the larger books left to do, which is a little intimidating for me, but I think if I mix in reading and the audiobooks with these picks that I'm planning on, I think I can get through it and then finally say, "Hey, I marked this done," and I can report it. So, I'm making it a point not to report my finishing of these prompts until I've gotten through the entire thing. Before I made the mistake of, yeah, um, I finished these books like before the challenge even started here in July. Um, Technically, it like marks off that prompts. So, I had like maybe two prompts that I had already filled up entirely. So that's why I reported it. But since I'm going off the timeline of July 1st, 2025 to June 30th, 2026, um, redoing that as I go. So like I had mentioned, I did buy the hundreds. I do have a plan for the subgenres of choice. Um, 24-hour readathon. I am a little nervous about this one. I'm not going to lie. I physically cannot just sit down and read books for 24 hours. And I kind of wanted to take that approach with this challenge just because I am really trying to push the envelope, probably a bit further than I need to, but I would like to try to be able to physically read as much as I can and see how many pages I can actually read in a 24-hour period. Because the criteria goes as long it's from wake up to when you finally fall asleep, and um that's your 24-hour period. So I am trying to find a day that I can physically do that. I may actually I may figure something out and maybe do it during like a vacation, a staycation. Because let's face it, there's no physical way I can afford to go anywhere at this point besides my backyard. So, which is fine. It's not a big deal. And that's why I keep utilizing the library because like I would fail instantly with these new releases because I'm on that book buying ban. And honestly, after going through quite a bit of my physical TBR, I've sworn off buying books before I know that I want to keep them. Um, so I've been taking the approach that any new book that comes out or any new book that I'm interested in that may have been out a while, sure, it's enticing to go on Book Outlet and purchase those, but I'm going to go to the library first, read it, and then if I know for a fact that I want to reread these books, um, I'm gonna go and try and find it. So I got introduced to quite a few new authors as well, which is awesome. I'm always trying to expand my author count. So, but yeah, that's kind of the approach that I'm taking at this point. I do have a plan for the series staircase. So if you guys don't remember that prompt, that is the prompt where you have to read a standalone, then you have to read a duology, then you have to read a trilogy, and then you have to read a four or more book series. So I think what I'm going to end up doing for that one is um, if I can't find a prompt for some of the standalone books that I read, for my TBR game, I think I'm just going to put that down as my standalone for the series staircase, and then proceed with I think I put down uh, two Twisted Crowns. I also have the option too of doing Courting Darkness. I have that duology as well. Um, I think there's one more that I have as well, but I can't seem to locate it right now. But as far as like duologies go, I think I have those two options where I have the Twisted Crown series and then the Courting Darkness series as well. So those are my two options for that. For the trilogies, it's like an open book because I have a ton of trilogies. Um, so technically, I could use Fourth Wing series. I could use my Systems Divine series that I have just started because I have all three books for that series. I could use the Aurora Burning series, which is a sci-fi YA series. Um, I could even use one of the Cassandra Clare trilogies that I have, whether it's Dark Artifices, Infernal Devices, or even like that newer series that I have. I believe it's like Chain of Iron, Chain of Golden. Chain of Thorns or something like that. Um, so I have like several options for that. Originally, I was gonna swear off getting rid of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. That book ending kind of pissed me off a little bit. Not gonna lie, I ranted about this, I believe, in a previous episode or a future episode. I'm not gonna talk about it right now because it'll just fuel me up. But I think, even though I had mentioned in that episode that I was going to just stop reading it, that could also be another option to like finish up a trilogy. So that's another option. And then as far as four more books series, I've been very eager to get to the Game of Thrones series. I know those books are absolutely huge, but that is an option. Another option is the Eye of the World, Wheel of Time series, because I definitely have four or more books for that one. Stormlight Archive series. I think if I mix and match, you know, audiobook with the regular reading, I think I could potentially get through at least four of those. Because I think there's four. Yeah, there's Rhythm of War, Oathbringer. Uh, yeah, and then there's the other two, Way of Kings, and the second one. Can't remember the second one. But yeah, that's another option as well. I could technically use um the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, but the thing is though, like I've been reading that since like the end of last year, so I'd have to double check the rules on that because technically I didn't read it within that period. So I have no plan right now for the award season prompt. I did decide on the TBR challenge game, and I decided to go with the Wheel of TBR, which is by Cody's Book Corner. I will definitely try to. Actually, you know what? I don't need to link it because it's in this challenge. So if you're doing the challenge too, it is the very last option on that list that Cordy provided. So the prompts were under 200 pages, most recent purchase, random pick, book of representation that can include pride, mental illness, or BIPOC, 5-star prediction, graphic novel, series continuation or start a series. So one single book that will either continue your series or start it. Second chance books, so books that I originally DNF but need to give it a second chance. Um, and then my TBR jar pick, new author, TBR veteran that has been on my shelf the longest, and then a classics. So I did go through and um, fulfilled each of those prompts. I have not read all of them yet, but at least I have like a plan for what I'm going to do for each one. So the under 200 pages, I decided to pick The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adam. I've heard amazing things. I've seen the movie and I absolutely love it. It is hilarious. I love sci-fi. I just have never gotten the chance to actually read the physical books. The most recent purchase actually happened to be Pet Cemetery by Stephen King. So I'm really happy that I can kind of mix in some of my Stephen King books. That was the one I had ordered very last before I put myself on a book buying ban. The random pick that I picked was The Radium Girls by Kate Moore. I've been hearing that this is like a historical fiction. Um, but yeah, I mean, I was very intrigued by this one. I've heard really good things about it. Um, my pick for the book of representation, I actually ended up going with a pride pick. Actually, I went with Natasha Nyang's Girls of Storm and Shadow. So that is the second book in the Girls of Paper and Fire series. It's been a while since I visited this series, probably several years. So I may actually have to go back and reread the first one, but I have a feeling it'll be just as good. But I'm really excited to be reading that one for the Pride representation. The 5-star prediction book that I chose was The Never Let Me Go by Kazu Ishiguro. um, I'm sorry if I botched up that last name. I'm very not great with names, but I've been hearing a ton about this one, and I do like the idea of it and what I've been hearing, and I really do think it's probably going to be a 5-star prediction. I guess it's like a dystopian, which I was not expecting, but um, I decided to go with that one, so that's planned on the bracket. Graphic novel. I've read Lore Olympus Volume 1, and I decided to go with Lore Olympus Volume 2 for this pick. Because I've been very curious about continuing that series as well. Um, as far as the series continuation, so I'm on the fence. I could say that I'm going to do A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas, or I could do A Court of Frost and Stardust by Sarah J. Maas, or what I've been wanting to get to is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. So I have a few options for that I could potentially pick up. Um, so the next one we have is Second Chance book I originally DNF'd, but need to give it a second chance. Originally I DNF'd Tomorrow, Tomorrow, Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, and I swore up and down I was not gonna pick that one back up. I also DNF'd A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. I swore up and down I was not going to repick that one up either. So I do have two options that I still have in my possession. And I think if I go with A Song Below Water, that will also help me fulfill the Spooky Creatures Merfolk prompt as well. So I think that would be the smart choice, but then again, I could potentially put in Tomorrow, Tomorrow, Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. And then my TBR jar pick ended up being Tales from Hinterland by Melissa Albert. I have never really read anything of Melissa Albert, so I'm really intrigued and excited about this one. Um, and then my new author pick ended up being Ghost Camera by Darcy Coates, um, which actually fulfills like some of the Summerween readathon prompts. So I'm pretty excited about like kind of diving into Darcy Coates because I've been hearing quite a few things, like really good things about her writing style and her storytelling. So I'm really interested in that one specifically. So I ended up putting that one on the agenda. TBR Veteran. So this is the one that has been on my shelf the longest. So I didn't want to do a reread. I wanted to do a brand new read. So I was looking at all the books that I've had on my shelf for God knows how long. And I ended up going with The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern because I think I absorbed this book a little bit, but then I put it down, and it wasn't because I hated it. It was because, like, at the time, I just was so preoccupied, and you really need to focus on Erin Morgenstern's storytelling because there's like a lot of windy and twisty things in it. So I have that on the bracket and docket for that one, and then the classics. Um, I'm gonna give Jane Austen another try. I'm gonna do Pride and Prejudice. Um, I have tried Jane Austen in the past, and I'm trying so hard to incorporate her, but every time I say, "Hey, I'm gonna read this," I end up putting it down. so, so yeah. So that was the plan that I have so far for that prompt. And honestly, I could go on with all these other prompts, but I think, for right now, this is a good stopping point with this episode. Um, I'd be really curious on what your guys' agendas are for the planning of HRCYED. If you've come up with a plan with at least getting one row or one prompt fully mapped out, and then just trying to get through that prompt. I'm just really curious on all your guys' like strategies too. So if you're not doing Herc yet, then I guess this is just entertainment for you guys on my end, because it is a lot of planning and it's a lot of like formulating and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll see you guys on the next episode later. Okay, guys, editing Christina. I made a mistake in that first episode. I kept saying a quart of frost and stardust. It's actually a quart of frost and starlight by Sarah J. Maas. Sorry about that. Oh, okay. So, this is future Christina again. So now I'm combining episode 2 into the second episode that I was going to post on the 25th. And yeah, so let's merge that in and let's get to it. Hello, 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 everyone. This is Christina again, and welcome back, or welcome if you're new here, to Chapter 1 and Beyond. This is the 10th episode. Holy moly, I can't believe I've gotten to 10 episodes already. So this one episode will be about some of my latest picks, my thoughts on them, and why I think you should read them too. So it's going to be more of like a recent read breakdown and talking about some of the genres, because there's like definitely a good mix of them. So let's just dive right into it. But yeah, hope you guys have all been doing well. Some of the books that I've been reading, I've been having an amazing reading year. Like last year, I only read 42 books, and most of them were in the second half of the year. We're almost through July now, and honestly, this has been the greatest reading year of my stats, if you will, of me tracking everything. So, um, I'm really happy with it. um, like I had mentioned from the very beginning, that this whole like little podcast and creative project that I'm doing was more to just have an outlet to talk about books, track my progress, and all that good stuff. So I am on my 50th book of the year as of today, which is actually the day before I'm posting this. So, yes, so I have read, I'm on my 50th book. I have officially read 49 books, and I've listened to over 275 hours worth of audiobooks, and then have read physically over 7,500 pages to date. So I've had quite an adventure just in this past month alone, and some of the books that I've been picking up are just absolutely incredible, and that's why I really want to talk about these. But and then I did have some that were just a complete bust. Like I absolutely hated them. Um, so the ones that I really really liked, I definitely loved Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I loved Cackle by Rachel Harrison. I absolutely devoured and loved Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. And I have recently become a fan of Shirley Jackson, and I devoured her We Have Always Lived in the Castle. I also really liked In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. And I also finished and loved Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. So those are the ones that I really, really liked. some of these next titles, um, I'd have to say, like, they're just there and they were okay, but as far as I know, like I got through them. So, the other books that I want to mention is so this one was fulfilled for HRCYED 2.0. This was Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. I did read the original script because I have this big old book full of all his manuscripts and stuff. So I just went to Romeo and Juliet and read that one, and that was for the play adaptations prompt for HRCYED 2.0. It was okay. It's definitely something that I remember like very vaguely on finishing up in high school, but for the most part, I got through it, and it's typical William Shakespeare. So I mean, it's meh. So the other book that I thought was meh was We Are the Ants by David. I believe it's Sean David Hutchinson. That's what it was. This book was like released back in 2016, and um, I was very intrigued by this. This one was sitting on my shelf for some time, but it finally got done. And I'm not knacking it in no means whatsoever, but I found that some of the topics that were mentioned, like grief and sexual assault and like the abuse and bullying, it was rough to read through some of those parts, but I love the sci-fi part of it. I loved how they incorporated LGBTQ plus representation in it as well, and I thought it was very cool that they use that angle of like abducted aliens and things like that. But it was okay, but the parts that had like the rougher like suicide and sexual assault and things like that, just be warned that that might be a trigger for some, and that might be a very sensitive subject. I personally, I don't really like reading things that are that sensitive, but you know, it wasn't anything that like kept me up like for several days at a time. So, and then the other book that just really I finished, but it just didn't do it for me was Tiny Pretty Things. I believe the authors are Sona Charapotra and Donnell Clayton. It's typical like ballet dance drama. And like I had mentioned, I was really hyped up about this one because I was always a fan of like Save the Last Dance and Center Stage and things like that. But the fighting and the racism and the bullying that happened in this book, I just couldn't stand it. It was just ugh, like I can only imagine that this is exactly how things are at a dance studio, especially when you're at a dance company. But it just I finished it, but I did not like this book, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to keep it. Well, I know I'm not keeping it on my shelf, so that one's gone. But let me go back to the ones that I really, really love. So, Cackle, Cackle by Rachel Harrison. I have never read any of her books, and I was absolutely intrigued when I saw that it's about a witch that lives in this small town, and then you have the main character. It's obvious, like they mentioned that her longtime boyfriend breaks up with her, and she moves like for a teaching job in an upstate small town and stuff. But it was really interesting on the evolution of this story because like I really liked the witchy elements and the creepy elements of it, and I really liked the fact that it kind of like gave her like it kind of gave her like this like new beginning type thing. So I really loved it. I loved the spiders in that one. It was like really like kind of um you know it kind of reminded me of like, those like little animation, um, Studio Ghibli like type animation movies. That's kind of like what I pictured with the little spider. Um, but yeah, so I don't know. I thought it was very unique. I thought it was great. I definitely am keeping that one. I'm keeping it on my shelf. And I definitely recommend it if you're looking for something on the lines of like not super scary, but at the same time it's suspenseful and you're kind of going through changes in your life and it involves witches. So, um, yeah, so that's all I have to say about that one. But let's talk about Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So this one fulfilled my HRCYED prompt for new release. I had waited almost too long for this book at the library because, like I said, I'm not buying any new books. And oh my gosh, this book was everything. And I am still going to gush about it because it was that good. I don't know if I would say it was the absolute best for 2025 so far because I've read some pretty dang good books, but it is very high on that list. It brought out like the space nerd in me because I was always very fond of astronomy in NASA in all those things and it was just so perfect and I loved how she kind of went along with the timeline. It does bounce back and forth, which I do sometimes struggle with, but it flowed so well and it made sense and I'll say it now and I'll say it again. I absolutely hated that character Barbara. She can rot in hell for all I care. So, um, but yeah, like normally I'm not into romance, like I said in previous episodes as well. It's not my thing, but this one just like gripped me every step of the way. I think I binged this one in less than 3 days, if I remember correctly. I can look at my tracker actually. So Atmosphere fulfilled my avatar prompt and the last 10 years. It is considered a contemporary romance, sci-fi. It is a standalone. Um, oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, so like when I switched over to it being I finally caved and got an Audible subscription that allowed me to have a credit to get Atmosphere on Audible. So I started mixing in that physical read and audio read. So yeah, originally I started this on July 14th and I actually finished very recently, this past week actually. So, absolutely loved it. If you're into space science nerdiness, LGBTQ representation, I definitely recommend this highly. It is so so good. Um, I was literally like flipping pages because I was just gripped from start to finish. So, definitely recommend that one. I'd say this one is the absolute best Taylor Jenkins read I've read to date. Um, and that's saying a lot because I have read Daisy Jones and the Six. I think yeah, I've also read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. That one was amazing. Um, but yeah, out of all those ones that I have read, I'd say this one is the best one out of Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I definitely recommend you checking it out, even if you're not a space nerd. So, um, sci-fi pick. Let's change it up a little bit. So, In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. Absolutely hilarious book because I love the banter of the robots in this one. I love the characters. It is actually a loose retelling of Pinocchio, which I found very unique. I've never seen any author kind of mix in sci fi and fantasy and that story element into what TJ Klune did and I think he did it beautifully. I think he did great. I definitely gave this one like a 5 star, and it was absolutely incredible. I was laughing throughout this one. The audiobook enhanced it greatly because I was once again like kind of bouncing between an audiobook and a physical read. But I definitely recommend checking out the audiobook for this one because it was really good acting. Like I definitely recommend, if you don't have the book, just go for the audiobook on Libby. But so good. It's just everything and about it, all the characters, the blue fairy and all that. It was so good. It was so funny, and like there was like a lot of like adult banter in it, which kind of threw me for a loop a little bit because, like, at least with the House on the Cerulean Sea and stuff like that, you had like a milder version. You didn't really have the adult banter in it, but this one definitely had it in there. Which I mean, whatever. It was funny, but I thought the robot and everything was great. So, well, robots. There was more than one robot, but yeah, you get my point. In the last book that I want to really dive into, and I definitely recommend you checking this out. And actually, I just realized that this is a duology. I did not realize that. So that actually could fulfill my duology of the series Staircase as well. This one's Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. So this one is an adult fantasy. I guess it was inspired by Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra. Um, so I don't know, but I mean honestly, I do kind of see the similarities with this one. Um, I haven't read the script for that one in a long flippin' time, so I probably have to get back to it. But this princess, her name is Kala, and then this other gentleman, his name is Anton. They get thrown into this like game of like survival. So it's kind of like, you know, um, it's kind of like Hunger Games. Like that's the way I kind of look at it. It's like Hunger Games, but with like a sci-fi type thing where you have like magical capabilities of switching in and out of bodies, which I was like a little creeped out at first, but that was like as you get through the book, it becomes even cooler. But yeah, like this princess apparently is in hiding, and it's because like she had killed her parents, and now she's like kind of in this whole like body snatcher situation trying to avoid um what's happening with with killing her parents and everything. So and then I guess this um guy Anton ends up falling in love with her and everything, and he's in the same game. So it was really interesting. It builds a lot, and I can't wait to read Vilest Longings, I believe the second one is. Um, but yeah, like the series is called Flesh and False Gods. Yes, the second one is it came out in 2024 and it's called Vilest Things by Chloe Gong. Um, I don't have that one, but I'll have to get it from the library. But honestly, I can't wait to like kind of wrap that one up too. So, I only have on my shelf Immortal Longings, and I do plan on keeping that one. But that is another one. Like if you're into like the fantasy, sci-fi type, dark fantasy, vibes and kind of gamifying it, definitely recommend that one. And then the book that I'm still currently reading is called Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinman. And I am so excited that I'm reading this book because a lot of booktubers and book talkers were talking about this one. Apparently, it's a televised apocalypse, like kind of like you're going through dungeons for surviving. And the first chapter alone just had me cracking up. The thing that I love most about this book so far is that the cat's name is called Princess Donut the Queen. Um, wait, no. Princess Donut is like the short, and then the Queen Anne of Chonk or something. It was really funny, but they actually have like an animation of the cat in there, and like they give like a description that it's this big, chonky, fat Persian faced cat, and the cat ends up saving his life, and now this cat is on this adventure with him. But it's really funny. I love it so far. It's probably going to be a 5-star review for me, like once I finish it, because I don't see this ever dying down for me. It really reminds me a lot of like Dungeons and Dragons, but um yeah, I'm really excited about finishing that one too. But yeah, I think honestly I covered all the ones that I wanted to recap with you. Um I mean, I did mention Howl's Moving Castle. I really want to go back and reread that with my kids. I think they would love that one. I've mentioned Tiny Pretty Things, just too much drama, and I definitely feel old now. So um and then Romeo and Juliet, like I said, just you know, typical William Shakespeare stuff. And then We Have Always Lived in a Castle. The first exposure that I had to Shirley Jackson was The Haunting of Hill House. I saw the series on, I believe it was Netflix, became obsessed with it, and now like I'm very obsessed with like Shirley Jackson's writing now. I personally think it's amazing. This one kind of struck on the gothic um, murder mystery type sequence, if you will. But I really liked the main character Meerkat. I really liked how like everything built up, and it was like super creepy, and this town is just unsettled by this family. But I really liked how it kind of like had that exposure to like mental illnesses and disorders. So I really thought that was great. I think that was very well done, especially since this book was written in 1962. So yeah, that's probably the only other thing I would mention. But yeah, I mean, on a roll here. So I do have plans for August. Like I mentioned in a previous episode, I'm just going through each of these prompts and just trying to develop my TBR off of that. And then whatever book I can get a hold of, I'll kind of mix it in between. So, but yeah, that's it for me, guys. I am going to let you go. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care. Bye.